Hello, Ender Sword here again, this time with Game 2 of the exioN versus SCA Clan War. SCA BowmanSX just took Game 1. He is the Protoss player over here on the right-hand side of the map, and his new opponent is going to be exioN Suzy, the Zerg over here on the left-hand side. Bowman did manage to wrestle Game 1 away, so we'll see whether or not he's kind of still on a rush or feeling good as this game develops. Pretty standard stuff obviously going on here. Of course, the pylon is going down near the nexus as opposed to going for some sort of forward wall off or anything here. Not blocking off of the ramp, not blocking off at the secondary ramp. I'm not sure what the logic behind the second supply depot is here. This one I obviously know what it's there for, to prevent the blocking off of the ramp. With pylons and bad stuff like that. I don't know the idea behind this one, maybe to just make this a little easier for Protoss to wall off or something like that, but in either case, that is not what Bowman is going to be doing. Instead, putting down the pylon and just getting a gateway at his nexus there. Suzy is going to grab the spawning pool before getting a hatchery or anything like that, and no gas going down here or anything at that point. So just going to see a non-rush type of game, just kind of standard macro-y type stuff. I don't know at what point we'll see Bowman expanding, whether or not he's going to actually go down and just kind of try a one-gate expand or what, but adding on some gas there as well before the gateway is even done. And obviously you can probably assume that his cyber core is coming out behind that while Suzy is now expanding here with the spawning pool already done. Pretty much expect the queen to be going at any moment. The first few minutes of this are always boring, pretty much. There's not a whole lot to say, and with HOTS being the new game of the week, it's hard to even say what really standard build orders are. This building in your own base definitely didn't used to be the thing you do. It was so standard to just go out and do a forge fast expand that you just expected that every time, but of course that may not be the new normal. Instead, getting a zealot, even going for a stalker here and a second gas before even thinking about dropping an expansion in this area. Got a Ling chasing a probe, which is now trying to get up into Suzy's base and scouting. Hasn't found that yet. Obviously, probably knows where it is now and sees that this has gone down, but won't actually get in to scout the third at this point, and just actually heads back. So doesn't come into that location to see that the third hatchery is in fact going down here. No gas yet for our Zerg player. And this hatchery now done on the way. Got the second clean coming out. And then even putting down some defensive spine crawlers here. He probably is aware at this point that there is no expansion going on. Instead, the mothership core out along with a few units that are out onto the map. But also not adding on additional gateways or anything at this point. And with warp gate over halfway done, it means he's not looking to hit any sort of timing based on that warp gate finishing. Probably go in, take a few pokes, harass, and I expect that's going to be immediately shut down by the few units that do exist, and obviously the spine crawlers. The Lings come in there, see if they can get a cheap surround on the stalkers, but probably not going to happen. Definitely not with the mothership core there in play as well. A queen can kind of push that one back. You can see doing a lot of shield damage on the mothership core. That will regenerate, obviously, so he's just going to go back on home and no, hey, I took a poke at him. Odds are that was just kind of to provoke a few more units, make him defend himself, and get those spine crawlers down. I'm not actually sure if Suzy's a guy or a girl. Obviously, it sounds like a girl's name, but I don't really know. I'm going to call him her, if it's a him or her. I have no idea. Even though I'm on this this team now, I just recently joined, so I'm actually I have no idea whether that's a guy or a girl. So I'm actually going to say she, if I remember to. Just getting a few lings out there, kind of roaming around the map, trying to see what is going on. Wasn't forced into making a lot of units or anything like that. This is pretty much probably what you'd expect her to have out on the map, him or her, whatever, at this point in the game. And so that early poke didn't really provoke a lot, since the spawn crawlers were actually already going to be in place anyway. Not getting extra gases on the natural at this point, and instead going into Phoenix play off just these two gases here. Only now getting a robo, and there's still only 3 warp gates out on the map with that tech actually done now. Well, the tech's been done for a little while, but the 2 additional ones were only added just now. So there's not a lot of gateway units out onto the map or anything like that. Instead, we'll probably be harassing with these Phoenix to try and get some work done. The Overlord may come in and see that this is in fact the case, and allow for some preparation on Suzy's part to maybe get some spore crawlers out into the mineral lines. The Phoenixes do see the Overlord, but obviously are going to have to reveal themselves in taking that down. And yeah, you already see the reaction is to get a couple spore crawlers up in the various mineral lines in order to try and mitigate some of that. Mothership Core going out and taking some tickling pokes here at the Lings, firing at a bunch of different ones, just kind of driving them back and clearing things out as the Phoenix do kind of come in towards the natural area here, see that there is a spore crawler in place, and take a poke at some of the workers, catching a couple transferring there, and on the edges of the mineral line, able to pick off 3 there so far. And I should really have that up because I think part of our overlay actually blocks the supply number of the Protoss player. Nice physics on that queen, just flinging it across the mineral line when it dies. That's always neat to see, but does manage to pick that queen off, going down into the 3rd, verifying that that does in fact exist. Spore crawler kind of in the way there, and does shove back the Phoenixes, which are now fairly low on energy anyway. They've definitely got a few lifts left in them, but not really that many. I think 2 basically there, with the 3rd one just about to regenerate. And Hydras do come out onto the field, which will hopefully do some form of prevention against those Phoenixes. Really, they don't have to get hold of them very long. Hydras do so much damage so quickly against fairly light units like this, and they can kind of catch one off guard if you're not just keeping them moving them in the right directions. Particularly with these spore crawlers, you really have to be working around the edges of the mineral line and trying to spread out the damage that you take on the various Phoenixes. And our Protoss player just kind of coming on back home, getting onto his own side of the map with those Phoenixes, as opposed to deciding to continue to harass. It may be the intention in these, and I've seen that a lot, to kind of force a lot of Hydras out onto the map, knowing that he's already gone into Colossus technology. We've got additional ones coming out on the map, one making one already there, with the thermal lance being researched there as well, and now switching into some Void Ray technology along with it. This is something we're seeing a lot more in Heart of the Swarm, the combination of Colossus with the Void Ray cover over top of them. It makes them really strong against the traditional counter, which has been the Corruptors. So what you're seeing a lot of Zergs slowly starting to do is switch into Vipers to counter the Colossus and pull them out of place, because the traditional counter of having the Corruptors out is really shut down a lot quicker by the Void Rays. You're either making a decision, am I going to be targeting the Colossus down, or am I going to be targeting the Void Rays down? And since the Void Rays can activate their high-powered energy beams, or whatever you want to call them, and target down the Corruptors at the same time, you're kind of picking and choosing. Do I want the long-range Colossus dead, or do I want the Void Rays dead? And I might not have that much anti-air left, and things like that. So So it is kind of a hard decision at this point for Zerg, and what they're starting to do is get a lot more Vipers out so that they can just yank the Colossus out of position, kill them with the normal ground army that wouldn't be able to even get in range of them, and then deal with the Void Rays separately once that kind of AoE damage is actually removed from the equation. And we do have a few Colossus out there so far, but not actually seeing any of the any tech towards the Viper path, instead going for the Spire here for our Zerg player Suzy. Army out on the map, the speed of these Hydras really is quite helpful. They do a lot of damage, and the biggest thing that's prevented them from being that useful before was not being able to move them that efficiently when they're off creep, but obviously that's becoming less and less of a concern. But still, Suzy's creep at this point is really non-existent. I don't think there is a creep tumor out onto the map at all. We've only got creep surrounding the various bases. So while the Hydras can move fine off it, the entire army would be a lot better off if there was, in fact, some creep throughout. And it would be a lot easier to kind of move them around to defend against harassments like these Phoenixes, or any, say, Warp Prism harassment that may come later on. And I believe a Warp Prism does exist, or it did exist, I want to say a little earlier for our Protoss player. I'm not sure what happened to that there. I may have missed it getting picked off, but I'm pretty sure I saw one under construction, unless it was actually canceled. So with a large number of Corruptors here now, about 10 of them, he is going to try and make a poke in here, but you can kind of see the decision you may be up against, that there's 4 Void Rays, 3 Colossus out, and he does manage to take down that Mothership core, which does certainly help. Having cannons go on the Nexus is never good. He's kind of going to decide at an awkward angle here, how do I want to attack? With the Protoss army up a ramp, he could obviously just force field this off, control the engagement really well. But if he attacks up this way, he could just get flanked from the side, and that is what he's going to do, going up into the natural, and that will lead to a bit of a flank here. Corruptors coming in, and again, you see a bit of that split fire. They do actually now target down the Colossus directly, but on initial engagement, fire was split a bit. Everything is being taken out here. Some brutal storms going on the ramp, and that army just seems to have melted behind this and is now being pushed back. The Hydras, while faster, are not fast enough to outrun these charge lots once they reactivate their little super speed abilities, and do all get taken out fairly squishy when they get exposed like that. And a lot of them were caught up on this ramp under a bunch of storms, while the Corruptors were still deciding what to fire on. The Zealots immediately, without hesitation, going into the 4th base of our Zerg player to try and see what they can get done. Phoenix sweeping in as well in order to pick off the workers remaining here, and then getting out of there before the Hydras can actually take them down. So the Zealots are cleaned up, but a fair bit of damage is done there now. And you can see throughout this game, just having 21 workers killed by BowmanSX, largely due to that Phoenix just going in, harassing, picking off a few things over a long period of time. And they've just never been cleaned up or fully dealt with in this game. He's always kept them off to the side, even in that large engagement, just keeping them off in another area so that they could come in and harass after that. Again, regathering up some Corruptors here as opposed to going towards anything else like the Viper technology. We are adding on a Hive here now, but again, adding on additional Corruptors. The idea probably being that if he could clear out a bit of the army, do a bit of damage, then these will eventually be turned into Broodlords, but he doesn't have the Hive tech done, doesn't have Greater Spire done. And the engagement coming in here, a lot of damaging storms going down here again, and you can just see the Corruptors not enough to get it done against this massive anti-air force, all getting taken out. Archons coming in, just cleaning up the rest of this and pushing it back. I don't know where Suzy can go from here. Protoss now adding on a 5th base, and yes, Suzy does call GG, realizing that while the economy is still reasonably healthy, there's just kind of nowhere to go from here, that the technology just isn't behind this, is going to expect a counter push very soon, probably on this, and realizes, hey, the tech is pretty much maxed out for Bowman. There are even four carriers that are actually on the way here. As soon as those are out there, there's just no way to deal with this sort of SkyToss army at this point with the level of tech that Suzy has. And Bowman is going to go up 2-0 for SCA in Game 2 here, and we're going on to Game 3. Stay with us.